If we treat climate change, ecosystem damage, and acidification of soils and oceans as just a few more itemised environmental problems, then we miss the point. This is what our society is missing. We cannot continue to focus on combating climate change and ozone depletion without acknowledging the underlying causative factor: us. Environmental degradation is defined as actions taken by people that cause the planet Earth or its systems to become damaged or harmed. It often evokes images of polar bears and floating ice caps, barren wastelands, and smog-producing chimneys, and has been at the forefront of global discussion and debate for most of our lifetimes. But this is not a one-way street, and when framed as a health issue, rather than purely as an environmental, economic, or technological challenge, it becomes clear that we are facing a predicament that strikes at the heart of humanity. By placing a human face on the civilizational crisis, it achieves greater resonance and demands its deserved attention. Large-scale anthropogenic changes to the natural environment, including land use change, climate change, and the deterioration of ecosystem services, are all accelerating. These changes are interacting to generate major emerging public health threats that endanger the health and well-being of hundreds of millions of people worldwide. While altered infectious disease patterns are one danger, indirect threats to health result from impaired food yields, social disruption, and population displacement. The once limited geographic and host ranges of many vector-borne diseases are expanding, spurred largely by human-caused factors. Epidemics of malaria, dengue, and other formerly contained vector-borne diseases are on the rise in the developing world, and in recent years, the United States has witnessed the introduction of the West Nile virus and the emergence of previously unknown Lyme disease. Take the global health burden of mosquito-borne dengue fever. In the past 50 years, incidence has increased 30-fold. An estimated 2.5 billion people live in over 100 endemic countries and areas where dengue viruses can be transmitted. Up to 50 million infections occur annually, with 500,000 cases of dengue hemorrhagic fever and 22,000 deaths, mainly among children. Prior to 1970, only 9 countries had experienced cases of dengue hemorrhagic fever. Since then, the number has increased more than 4-fold and continues to rise. So with our rapidly advancing medical therapies and understandings, how has this happened? Increases in heat, precipitation and humidity can allow tropical and subtropical insects to move from regions where infectious diseases thrive into new places. Natural disasters such as flooding provide a prosperous environment for the spread of these vectors, but disturb human life and health. These are just two of the aspects of climate change and its knock-on effects on human health. Listed as Lancet's greatest threat to human health, climate change cannot be underestimated, but it also cannot be solely focused on. Another risk for our future is that of water scarcity and pollution. With 1 out of every 5 deaths under the age of 5 worldwide due to water-related diseases, our race cannot afford for this situation to worsen. One of the most significant sources of water degradation results from an increase in water temperature. Unexpected evaporation rates also pose a threat to human access to clean water, and the aforementioned natural disasters obstructing our health. Along with our fatal reliance on fossil fuels and greenhouse gases, the air that we breathe is similarly affecting our health. The WHO estimates that in 2012, household air pollution caused 4.3 million deaths, ambient air pollution caused 3.7 million, and unsafe water, poor sanitation, and inadequate hygiene caused 842,000. By contrast, HIV/AIDS causes 1.5 million deaths per year, tuberculosis 1.2 million, and malaria fewer than 1 million. From an ecological point of view, water contamination and air pollution alike affect the entire animal kingdom. With less crops growing, less animals are thriving. There are losses of ecosystems and the human race is suffering. A recent study finds that by 2050, with total failure to change course, the global food supply system would face catastrophic losses and an unprecedented epidemic for food riots. In this scenario, global society essentially collapses as food production falls permanently short of consumption. Environmental degradation is placing significant and potentially unsustainable pressures on the availability and usability of natural resources such as land, water, and ecosystems. Central to our human nature lies the necessity to survive, and this can give rise to conflict. The Centre for Research on the Epidemiology of Disasters estimates that more than 172 million people are affected by conflict worldwide. Of this total, 87% are conflict-affected residents. These numbers are too high and are totally avoidable. Landscape destruction is linked closely with warfare, and it paves the way for yet another aspect of environmental degradation. Environmentally induced migration and displacement has the potential to become an unprecedented phenomenon, both in terms of scale and scope. Migration has always been a possible adaptation strategy for people facing environmental changes. Prehistory and history are marked by migration and displacement from one climate zone to another, as people sought out environments that would support survival and human health, as well as aspirations for a better life. By 2050, when human population is projected to peak, some 9 billion people will live on Earth. The majority of them will live in urban areas with crushing environmental footprints. Many megacities are located in areas prone to sea level rise. Climate change will visit urban and rural areas alike, with increasingly frequent and violent hazard events. Flooding, intense storms or droughts, or more gradual but significant changes in regional climates, place great stress on livelihood. These pressures will contribute to migration and displacement, along with many other factors. In Egypt, slow onset events like sea level rise and desertification affect the country's most productive zone, the Nile Delta. The Delta has 1.5 million hectares of agricultural lands, over a third of which would be inundated by a 2-metre sea level rise. The Delta supported a population of 40.2 million people in the year 2000, of which 10.7 million lived in areas that would be affected by this sea level rise. Would these people find another home with ease, or would they perish in their search? As many terminal human societies have done in the past, we are mortgaging the future to pay for the present. But we have now come to a fork in the road. We will either be remembered as the generation who destroyed their home, and in doing so destroyed themselves, or the one who finally came to respect the definite link between environmental degradation and health. We have never faced a human health threat as big as this, but The Lancet reported in July 2015 that tackling this issue could be the greatest global health opportunity of the 21st century. We have everything we need to wake up to a different type of world, where our health is not threatened and our environment not endangered. We have every reason to act, and we cannot wait until tomorrow.